So, have you ever found yourself standing at a crossroads feeling, well, just completely lost about your life's direction? Wondering if the choices you're making right now are actually the right ones or if you've kind of just taken a massive wrong turn somewhere? Trust me, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're taking a close look at one of the most iconic pieces of life advice ever delivered, which honestly serves as the ultimate explainer on how to navigate life's crazy, unpredictable challenges.
Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here with us today because we're analyzing Steve Jobs' incredibly famous Stanford commencement address. And rather than talking in these big abstract theories, Jobs actually broke down his whole personal philosophy into three deeply personal and surprisingly vulnerable stories of resilience and intuition. We're going to unpack these stories to uncover some really actionable life philosophies that you can apply to your own journey literally right now.
Here's exactly how we're mapping out today's explainer. First, trusting the unseen dots. Second, the lightness of beginning again. Third, death as life's change agent. And finally, finding your true voice. Let's jump right in. Section 1, trusting the unseen dots or the power of hindsight. Okay, let's dive into this. Steve Jobs' early life was, honestly, remarkably chaotic. It was filled with this deep anxiety of simply not being able to see the path ahead. The uncertainty actually started right at birth, with an unexpected adoption. His biological mother only signed the papers when his working-class adoptive parents promised that he would someday go to college. Fast forward 17 years, and Jobs naively enrolled in Reed College, which was almost as expensive as Stanford. After just 6 months, he just couldn't see the value in it. He had absolutely no idea what he wanted to do with his life, and his parents' entire life savings were just draining away. So he made the incredibly pivotal, terrifying decision to drop out. And after that, he spent another 18 months just kind of dropping in on the classes that actually caught his eye. What's really fascinating here is how this grounds his lofty, legendary success in a very unromantic reality. Dropping out wasn't some glamorous, liberating movie montage. I mean, he didn't even have a dorm room, so he was literally sleeping on the floor in his friends' rooms. He returned empty Coke bottles for 5-cent deposits just to scrouge up enough money to buy food. And every single Sunday night, he would walk 7 miles across town just to get one good hot meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. He was struggling, for sure, but he was trusting his intuition. And this brilliantly illustrates the magic of following that intuition. By dropping out, he was finally freed from the required classes that completely bored him. And by dropping in, he followed his curiosity right into a calligraphy class. He learned all about serif and sans serif typefaces and the really subtle, artistic beauty of great typography. Now, at the time, this had absolutely zero practical application in his life. But get this, an entire decade later, 10 whole years of just blindly trusting that initial instinct, when he was designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came flooding back. He designed that beautiful typography right into the Mac. If he hadn't dropped out and hadn't dropped in on that one single, seemingly useless course, personal computers as we know them today might not have the wonderful typography they do. Which brings us to this massive, foundational quote. You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. Think about what this means for your own life choices. You really just have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You've got to trust your gut, destiny, life, karma, the whole shebang. Because believing that those dots will eventually connect down the road, that's exactly what gives you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you completely off the well-worn path. Section 2, the lightness of beginning again, navigating public setbacks. Let's move to our second story and see how this all builds. $2 billion. That is the massive number we need to focus on for a second. To put that into perspective, Jobs started Apple in a garage at age 20. In just 10 short years, it exploded from a 2-person project into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. They had literally just released their finest creation, the Macintosh. And then, at age 30, after a massive fallout with a fellow executive and the board of directors, Jobs was fired. He was out, and very publicly out. The entire focus of his adult life was just wiped away. It was completely devastating. He actually even thought about just running away from Silicon Valley altogether. But slowly, this profound realization dawned on him. He still loved what he did. Being fired didn't change that core passion one bit. So the crucial point here is that the immense heaviness of being successful was suddenly replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. He was way less sure about everything, sure, but that devastating public failure actually freed him to enter what would become one of the most wildly creative periods of his entire life. And just look at the steps of his comeback during these so-called wilderness years. Step 1, he founded a company called Next. Step 2, he founded another company called Pixar, which, went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and became the most successful animation studio on the planet. Step 3, in this incredibly wild turn of events, Apple actually bought Next, Jobs returned to Apple, and the technology they developed at Next fueled Apple's massive subsequent renaissance. Crazy, right? None of this happens without that devastating firing.
Jobs called it awful-tasting medicine, but noted that, well, the patient needed it. Sometimes life is going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. The only thing that kept him going was his absolutely unwavering love for his work. You have to find what you love. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking and do not settle. Because just like any truly great relationship, it only gets better and better as the years roll on.
Section 3. Death as life's change agent. The ultimate clarifier.
Okay, now we're going to shift gears just a little bit. This is a heavier topic, for sure. But as you'll see, it's profoundly liberating. When he was 17, Jobs read a quote about living each day as if it were your last. It made such a deep impression on him that for the next 33 years, he actually did a daily mirror test. Imagine this. He would look in the mirror every single morning and ask himself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? If the answer was no for too many days in a row, he knew with absolute certainty that he had to change something.
So why is remembering that we'll be dead soon the single most important tool for making big life choices? Because in the face of death, all of this extra noise completely falls away. External expectations, pride, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of failure, literally none of it survives the mirror test. Facing death strips everything away and leaves only what is truly, genuinely important to you. It prevents you from falling into the trap of thinking you have something to lose. As Jobs powerfully put it, you are already naked.
This leads us to a fascinating, completely counterintuitive definition of mortality. Jobs described death as life's single best invention and its ultimate change agent. I mean, it is the one destination we all share, right? No one has ever escaped it. But it has this beautiful utility. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, you are the new, but eventually, you will become the old. It's a stark reality, but it's exactly why we cannot afford to waste our limited time living someone else's life.
Section 4. Finding your true voice. Escaping the trap of dogma.
This is where we bring it all home and synthesize these 3 incredible stories of dots, resilience, and mortality into one unified call to action. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Your time is highly limited. Please do not let the loud, constant noise of everyone else's opinions drown out your own inner voice. Your heart and your intuition somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else, truly everything else, is secondary.
And that brings us to these 4 absolutely iconic words. Stay hungry, stay foolish. This wasn't just a clever sign-off, it's a lingering mandate to all of us. It's a powerful reminder to remain perpetually curious, to be aggressively open to life's unpredictable challenges, and to never, ever assume you have it all figured out. You have to be a little foolish to drop into a random calligraphy class or to start over completely from scratch at age 30. But that hunger, that is exactly what connects the dots.
I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. Look at your life right now. What dots are you creating today that your future self will look back and connect? Are you actually trusting your gut? Or are you letting the heaviness of success hold you back? Don't settle. Have the courage to follow your heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time. Keep exploring and stay curious.